This is IXL practice skill K8, how to solve two-step inequalities. Solving two-step inequalities is very similar to solving two-step equations. The only difference, as we've spoken before, is to remember if you multiply or divide by a negative number, you need to flip the sign. So this is the only thing that we have to look out for. Otherwise, we're just doing what we call inverse operations. And when we do inverse operations, remember that addition and subtraction come before multiplication and division. So, number 1, we have 8 plus 7m is greater than 1. We need to get rid of this 8 first because it is adding. So the opposite of plus 8 is minus 8 to both sides. The 8's cancel out. I get 7m is greater than 1 minus 8, which is negative 7. Now I am still trying to solve for m, so I do the opposite of multiply by 7, which is divide by 7. That gives me m is greater than 7. Negative 7 divided by 7 is negative 1. And this will be my final answer. Number 2, solve for k. This says negative 3k plus 7 is greater than 10. The 7 needs to move to the other side because this is a number, needs to combine with the number 10. The opposite of plus 7 is minus 7. 7's cancel out and I get negative 3k is greater than 10 minus 7, which is positive 3. Now I'm still solving for k. I need to do the opposite of multiply by negative 3 and divide by negative 3. Again, going back to those inverse operations. Negative 3's cancel out and I get k. Since we divided by this negative here, we need to flip the sign. So k is less than negative 1 because 3 divided by negative 3 is negative 1. We divided by the negative, so we flip the sign, and that's our final answer. On number 3, solve for z. So the opposite of plus 2 is minus 2. So I need to subtract 2 on both sides. The 2's cancel out and I get negative 1z is less than 10 minus 2. 10 minus 2 is 8. And now I need to solve for z still, so I need to divide by negative 1 because the opposite of multiply by negative 1 is divide by negative 1. Since I am dividing by a negative number, I need to flip the sign. So z is greater instead of less. It's greater than 8 divided by negative 1 is negative 8. And this is my final answer. Number 4 says solve for k. The first thing I want to do is move the number negative 10. So this says negative 8 is greater than negative 10 subtract k. So this negative 10 needs to move over with the negative 8. The opposite of negative 10 is positive 10. And those cancel out on the right side. Negative 8 plus 10 is positive 2. Is greater than negative k. So you would think you were done here, but you cannot have this negative out front And we understand that if there's no number out front, our coefficient, our number, is -1. So this is multiplied by a -1. So I need to divide by a -1 on both sides. The -1's cancel. And I have 2 divided by -1, which is -2. I'm dividing by a negative number here, again, so I need to flip the sign. So it points to the left now, and then the K is on the right side. If you wanted the K to be first, it doesn't have to be an IXL, but if you had an answer that all the K's were in the front, you just have to flip the whole entire inequality. So if I had K out front, or we could write it as K, and K is being eaten. K, it should be eating toward K, so K is greater than -2. These will both give you correct answers for the inequality. And that is how you solve two-step inequalities.